Whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday in our midst, we are stronger because you are with us. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome here. Today, we are holding space for change at the end of summer. At this time, I light the chalice in my study, and I invite you to light a chalice, candle, or lamp where you are too.
A Chalice Lighting for When Things Aren't Okay by Reverend Molly Brewer. My beloved people, I cannot pretend, and so I will not tell you that everything is okay right now. There is no reason to be angry that you must be optimistic or at peace. I cannot pretend these things, and so I won't tell them to you. But now our chalice is lit. And so all I ask in this moment is that we remember the words of Rebecca Parker. There is a love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding us all. By the light of our chalice, let us rest in this love. Please join in singing our opening hymn, There is a Love. Sabbaths, 1998, by Wendell Berry. By expenditure of hope, intelligence, and work, you think you have it fixed. It is unfixed by rule. Within the darkness, all is being changed, and you also will be changed. Now I recall to mind a costly year. Jane Kenyon, Bill Lippert, Philip Sherrard, all in the same spring, dead. So much companionship gone as the river goes. And my good workhorse, Nick, dead, who called out to me in his conclusive pain, asked for my help. I had no help to give. And flood covered the cropland twice. By summer's end, there are no more perfect leaves. But won't you be ashamed by counting the passing year as its mere cost, your debt inevitably paid? For every year is costly, as you know well. Nothing is given that is not taken, and nothing taken that was not first a gift. The gift is balanced by its total loss. And yet light breaks in, heaven seizing its moments that are at once its own and yours. The day ends and is unending where the summer tanager, warbler, and vireo sing as they move among illuminated leaves.
Three Songs at the End of Summer by Jane Kenyon. A second crop of hay lies cut and turned. 5 gleaming crows search and peck between the rows. They make a low, companionable squawk, and like midwives and undertakers, possess a weird authority. Crickets leap from the stubble, parting before me like the Red Sea. The garden sprawls and spoils. Across the ski, the campers have learned to water ski. They have, or they haven't. Sounds of the instructor's megaphone suffuse the hazy air. Relax! Relax! Cloud shadows rush over drying hay, fences, dusty lane, and railroad ravine. The first yellowing fronds of goldenrod brighten the margins of the woods. School books, carpools, pleated skirts, water, silver still, and a V of geese. The cicada's dry monotony breaks over me. The days are bright and free, bright and free. Then why did I cry today for an hour with my whole body, the way babies cry? A white, indifferent morning sky, and a crow hectoring from its nest high in the hemlock, a nest as big as a laundry basket. In my childhood, I stood under a dripping oak while autumnal fog eddied around my feet, waiting for the school bus with a dread that took my breath away. The damp dirt road gave off this same complex organic scent. I had the new books, words, numbers, and operations with numbers I did not comprehend, and crayons unspoiled by use in a blue canvas satchel with red leather straps. Spruce, inadequate, and alien, I stood at the side of the road. It was the only life I had.
Apocalypse, August 21, by Kate Dahlstead. Roses turning brown and the world's on fire. August is a sad month now. Milkweeds drooping, dripping sea pods, hoping for a chance at another year. Turning over spent soil, seeing only tiny grave sites all in a row. Picking the last blueberries, wondering if there'll ever be more. Yet planting spring bulbs, a kind of hope, even in the apocalypse.
Since I last held this space with you 2 weeks ago, so much has happened. Haiti has been struck by another large earthquake. 7.2 on the Richter scale. 2,100 people have died, and thousands more are injured, and aftershocks are still coming. In a country still reeling from the last big earthquake 11 years ago, still reeling from the assassination of their president last month. This is devastating. The immediate need is for medical assistance now for the broken bones and other traumas, and for emergency shelter for those whose homes have been destroyed. There are, luckily, ways to share. People in Haiti don't need a shipment of your old towels. They need money for the medical supplies and building supplies. Luckily, many organizations still have contacts on the ground in Haiti from the last earthquake to expedite aid so that perhaps we don't have a huge bottleneck with the Red Cross the way we did in 2010. Relationships save lives. The Taliban has retaken control of Afghanistan. Afghans, US Americans, and people from other countries too remain stuck inside Afghanistan trying to find a way out, a place on an airplane or a bus. The news on this moves so quickly. In the time of our worship service today, there will be more headlines, if not more actual news content. The news moves quickly, but in some ways it seems we've gone back in time 20 years to the invasion of Afghanistan. Some have even felt the echoes of the withdrawal of US troops from Vietnam in this news. Our hearts are with the Afghan people as they live in uncertainty within uncertainty. We can remind our government that Afghan refugees have a place in our country and prepare to welcome them. The UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report has driven home the fact that we must keep planetary warming down if we are to live on this planet. We're going to see more formerly abnormal weather, more broken records, and more often, more storms, wildfires, heat domes, and bomb cyclones, more rain in places that have only known snow in the span of human existence. It's imperative that we stop our fossil fuel consumption. This is not something that we can do as individuals. We'll have to change our entire culture to do this. We must do this. Maybe we even can do this. And then there is the continued shock of living in a pandemic, a brief summer of vaccinated reprieve before we learned how very communicable the Delta variant is. We now know that a vaccinated person can transmit COVID to another vaccinated person, even outdoors. The vaccines prevent serious illness, but they don't prevent infection and they don't prevent transmission, which means that this is still keeping us apart. It is okay to hold grief for this. We are still holding the grief of the last 17 months, our personal griefs, our collective griefs, uncertainty about what will come next. We will have a time of joys and sorrows later in the service, but I invite you to type in the chat the names of those people and other things for which you are holding grief. Aruziak, Rick, Bill, Herschel, Debbie, Charlie, Ron Bushouse, Roger Shords, Celia, Miriam, Dad, Cassie, maybe even those you lost before the pandemic began, or those who have not died, but you simply miss. Mom, Jim, Betty, Will, Michelle, Stan, Sheila, Nancy. You're welcome to keep typing in. The space will continue forward. Grief is an act of love. Grief is love compounded by change. Grief is a way of being present, of keeping love present. There is no shame in grief as we try to love this world of change. I love that Kate's poem references the apocalypse. I remember and tell you now that an apocalypse is not the end of the world. It's the end of the world as we know it. New things are being revealed, and old things we had not seen before are being uncovered. That is what the word apocalypse literally means, uncovering. 20th century African-American speculative fiction author Octavia Butler wrote in her Earthseed books, God is change. Change is the most powerful thing in the universe, and it's up to us to shape change well rather than resisting it. She writes, all that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. Contemporary activist and author Adrienne Marie Brown works with and has written about this Earthseed principle in her book Emergent Strategy: Shaping Change, Changing Worlds. I love this idea because we don't succeed or fail alone. We are all part of this change. Change is inevitable, but which changes will emerge from our collective participation in our communities and our world? What is emerging for you? What is perennially true? And what is a truth that is still becoming? Robin Wall Kimmerer writes in her book, Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teachings of Plants. Even a wounded world is feeding us. Even a wounded world holds us, giving us moments of wonder and joy. I choose joy over despair, not because I have my head in the sand, but because joy is what the earth gives me daily, and I must return the gift. This idea emerges as an idea we can use to shape change in this time. Wendell Berry writes, for every year is costly, as you know well. Nothing is given that is not taken, and nothing taken that was not first a gift. So we choose joy. We look for the light in the leaves. We give thanks for the day we have. We love the companions of our path. What do you rely on in this time where every week feels different, where plans get reshuffled or put on hold? Spirit of possibility, God who is change, be with us in grief and change. Help us to make our grief into a catalyst for healing, for ourselves, for others, for the world. Keep us connected to our gratitude. Inspire us with beauty. Enliven us with companionship. And when our lives end, let us know that the world is still full of the love we gave to it. Blessed be. Amen.
And now we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again.
And close our time together with words from the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding you. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. Go in peace.